Hi everybody, welcome back to Heart of an Artist. I've got my tea. It's a vanilla something. It's delicious. It's a little hot still, but if you need to take a moment, give it a pause and go get yourself a nice cup of something. It's morning for me. I've got my notes because let's get real, let's get serious. Okay, not that serious. Serious enough. So Heart of an Artist, I've talked about what that means, but let's talk about what this channel really is about. For me and for anyone who can relate, is finding your way back to you after 60 or after retirement. So whatever age that is these days. Because suddenly you have all this time on your hands and you're used to it being very filled, right? Like you don't even have to think about it. You don't have to really think about what am I going to do with my day, because it's already predetermined, right? We all remember when we had absolutely no time for ourselves. There were kids, there was the husband, there was work, there was housework and maintenance. So our lives were hustle, bustle, rush, fall behind and try to catch up. Lather, rinse, repeat. Now the kids are grown and flown. In my case, my husband's still working. He's still got another year or so before he retires, maybe less. Haven't quite decided yet. But I decided at least a year ago, maybe a little longer, to stop my hustle and bustle and start to breathe again, and started my journey on finding me again. Who am I? What are my passions? What are my likes? What are my dislikes? What's happening? Really, there's been a lot of time spent with me asking, what's happening? So much time that I now have on my hands. Now what? Well, some of us are also, we still have a spouse. We have grandkids or not, but some people do. They have their spouse, their grandkids, and maybe elderly parents that they're looking in on, or even have moved into their houses and are taking care of them. So while your time is still taken up with these other things, there's still more time than there used to be. And at what point do you decide to let yourself have some time for you again? If not now, when? None of us know how long we've got here, right? And what that journey or path looked like yesterday could come in the form of a doctor's phone call after some tests or routine imaging that changes that path drastically. So, when do you decide to start taking time for yourself and focusing on your health, your well-being, your passions? So that's what I'm doing. I'm here on my own personal journey to rediscover, get back, recalibrate, find out who I am at my core again, meet back up with that person. Because at 20, she knew exactly who she was. But then all those other things happened, and she kind of had to take a back seat for quite some time. So now that we've got the time, what do we want to do with it? Well, are there hobbies or interests that you've had and have also had to take a back seat during that really busy season of your life? For me, it's art. I came back to art back in December of 2020, right? Lockdown. I had, over the past 2 years prior to COVID and lockdown, I had given birth to a business and then watched it slowly slowly dying during lockdown and finally had to shut it down. So I went through a mourning period about that because it was a very successful business. It was very exciting times for me. I had built something all by myself. And yeah, let's not dwell on it. So I was trying to figure out, how much more house cleaning can I possibly do during lockdown? How much more whatever. There was a whole lot of whatever going on. And when I had first gone to college, I went and I was going for fine art and psychology. And I hadn't really done much as far as art since I left college and took over a restaurant with my son's father. And so we owned it, we ran it, and in the winter we had it. It was on Cape Cod, it was in Falmouth. In the winter, it really was a two-person show, except for Friday and Saturday nights. It was me running outside and him running the kitchen. So when we sold that 4.5 years later, it was so that we could start having children. And so fast forward all the way to December of 2020, Dawn decided she's going to pick up paintbrushes for the first time in 40 years. And I hit up Amazon and I order watercolor paints, brushes, some paper, and off she goes. Why watercolor? That's the bigger question. Why watercolor? When I was taking my art classes in college, my least favorite class, other than art history, was watercolor. And I don't know if it's because of impatient me when I was 18. I don't know if it was the teacher. I just don't know, but I absolutely hated it and fought against it. Why I chose that as my medium when I decided to pick up brushes again, I don't know, but I find that I absolutely love watercolor. I still play with other mediums. I'll play with gouache. I'll play with acrylic. I occasionally play with oils. Oils just seem like so much more work to me because of the cleanup and the prep and everything, so I don't do it as often. I've said this before, I'll say it again. One thing I know about me, if it's not easy, I'm not doing it. Or I'm very less likely to do it. That doesn't mean I'm not capable of hard things, but I have to have an interest in those hard things. And obviously I had an interest in watercolor. And maybe I chose what I thought was the hardest medium because I wanted to get myself that far out of my head and into something else at that time. It still works like that for me. I may be still in my head when I start a painting, but give me 10 minutes and then I am fully just immersed in the flow of that painting, which is marvelous because as a very creative person, my mind is always going. There's always something happening up here. There's always several tabs open at any given time. And my art, reading, and cooking are the only things to shut down all those other voices and help me be in a zone of quiet and a zone of creating. So that's me. So maybe the first step in your journey of just rediscovering who you are is really doing the work to find out what it is that you're really interested in doing. And that may look like trying a bunch of things that you think you want to do, finding out you don't like them, and moving on to something else. Give yourself the grace to figure it out. When we were kids, that's how we did things, right? We're like, yeah, we're coloring. Oh, let's do gymnastics. I don't like gymnastics. Perhaps I'd like to do track instead, or whatever. We tried everything until we found the things that we really enjoyed, and then we were all about it. Give yourself the grace to be a child again in that beginner's mind and figure it out. Find out what it is you're really interested in, what you want to do, and then do that. And it's okay not to be good at it at first, right? That's another thing. As adults, we kind of get this mindset that we're supposed to be good at, always supposed to know what we're doing, right? We're in charge. We're supposed to know what we're doing. Oh, that's a big fallacy myth, isn't it? Come on now. It is. So, for me, it's, if you hear random noises, that's my dog Finn. He's in the room with me. We had to have a long talk about how he can't bark because he doesn't know who I'm talking to right now. And he thinks there might be somebody in the yard that I'm talking to. But he's nosing around and poking his head into things. And yeah, so those random noises, they're just Finley being. And if you go back to my last video, he makes an appearance on my lap. And so you can meet Finley there. So for me, it's art. I love cooking. I love everything about cooking. I love the planning of meals. I love the shopping, the gathering of ingredients, the prepping, the actual cooking. And the be-all, end-all of, for me, is when I sit down and the person or persons who are eating what I've prepared are enjoying it. For me, that's everything. I love to travel. Right now, that doesn't look like a lot of out of the country travel. Need to wait for some things to calm down a little bit. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But I love exploring new things locally. I love exploring things in my home state of New York. I love exploring things further afield in other states. We are spoiled with such a huge country that if you don't travel overseas, you can spend your entire life exploring new places just in your own country. I mean, in Europe, you can travel a couple of hours and pass through 3 countries. And here, it might be just a state for 3 hours. Like, I'm in New York, so I can travel for 3 to 4 hours and still be in New York. Yeah. And the other thing I'm recommitting to and focusing on this year is also reconnecting and on deeper levels with the friends that are dearest to me. I just think that in this season of life, that's super important. I remember when everything used to be about, everybody was graduating from college, right? And you're going to all these graduations when you're that age. And then it becomes about everybody's getting married, so it's a season of weddings. Then it's a season of baby showers and babies being born. Then it's a season of all those kids being grown up and graduating and moving out. And then it's their weddings and their children that are being born. And now I feel like I'm in the season of funerals. Seriously. I'm watching, my parents are both long dead, but we lost Chris's dad back in October, and he was 89. So it wasn't like, oh, so unexpected, like we don't expect people to live forever, but it was a surprise. It just happened, and nobody, there was no illness, nothing. It was just, he lay down on the couch and went to sleep. And could we all hope for such a good way to go? I mean, that's what I have always hoped for, is like, yeah, let me just lay down and go to sleep. I love my bed. Let me just go to sleep. In his case, it was the couch. He was going to take a nap, and it's been a long nap. But it's hard. It's hard. With no preparation, when it comes as a surprise like that, it's hard. And it's not just elderly relatives and parents that the funerals we're going to, they're classmates now, And it's not, I feel like that outside of major holidays, I feel like that is what our socialization has been with people, has been at funerals. And gosh, that's not really optimal and cheery. So I'm trying to make a more of an effort of creating gatherings, going to gatherings with the people that are nearest and dearest. Oh, that's much better now. Excuse me. So yeah, I mean, I like to think of the season I'm in now as my second adolescence, except that I don't have a curfew, except for my own self-imposed curfew of I get up at 6:30. I'm in bed by 9. I am in bed by 9, and I enjoy it quite a lot. I no longer drink. I gave that up July of 2019, the end of July of 2019. Was it a problem? Absolutely was. The whole reason I stopped is I got some blood tests back and I was well on my way to fatty liver, and my cholesterol was through the roof because that's what your liver does. It processes your cholesterol, among other things, cleans your blood. And I had always said, gosh, I love my alcohol, but if it comes down to that or my health, so I chose my health. And I stopped that day that I read the blood results. And I have bad days and I think about it, but I really love in the morning when my eyes pop open and I don't have a headache and I can jump right out of bed and not stumble because I'm a little bit queasy, and I don't spend the first couple of hours refinding my equilibrium, feeling good for a few hours, and then have my next drink and go on with my my night of drinking. So yeah, it was an issue, and I don't miss it. I don't miss it. 50 years of drinking was plenty. I'm good. And I haven't smoked since 1983. Columbus Day weekend, 1983. Coming back that Monday from Newport, Rhode Island, heavy drinking, heavy smoking, and I just couldn't look at them or smell them anymore. And I wish I could go back and pick them up because I'm not proud of the fact that I threw my pack of cigarettes, what was left, out the window, and that was that. Have there been a couple of times here and there when I was drinking and I'd have a hit off of somebody else's butt or even smoke a whole cigarette? Yes. Far and few between though. And now that I'm sober, I don't ever even think that that's a good idea anymore. And let me clarify, Cali sober. Cali sober. I love my gummies. This year when I start my seeds, there will be some weed plants that I start here in New York that is legal for personal consumption. You can grow a certain amount of plants for your own personal consumption. I'll be doing that, and with the hopes that I get a good enough harvest that I can buy one of those machines that extracts it and I can turn it into gummies, because really I don't like smoking it. So I usually do gummies, and it just helps again in the evening to quiet down all the voices in my head before I go to bed. And it's not every day, it's not every night, and no judgment if that's what you need to do to keep your head quiet. I'm just telling you what I do. It's by no means is it a blueprint of things to do. We're just having a conversation, right? I mean, this is how we explore the possibilities of what does our life look like in this season. So yeah, that's what's happening with me. So as we move on this channel, there'll be a lot of coming back, and the major theme of this channel really is about finding your way back to you and what the rest of your life is going to look like in this 60 plus years and older. I've got my calendar filled for the warm season. of paint camps and plein air festivals, and I'll be car camping at least once a month from Tuesday to Friday. And I'll take you along because I have to build out the sleeping platform and the storage in the back of my RAV4, Ravia, in order to do that car camping with me and Finley, my dog. We'll be doing that. And because I've decided that if I don't do these things now while I still can, I will regret it when I can't, right? You don't know what you can't do until you can't do it. Does that make sense? And I don't want to one day go, oh, geez, now if I even wanted to car camp, I couldn't. I wonder what that would have been like. Well, I'll know what that would have been like because I'll have done it, and I will do it for as long as I can. I love being out hiking with the dog, finding the thing that interests me, catches my eyes, and painting it that day. I do it here locally, but I also think it's important to have time and do things, especially as a woman, to do things on your own, to independently function. That's another whole series. That's a playlist we need to make, right? Like, life as a woman. A lot has happened in our 60 plus years. We've seen a lot of things. We came a long way, and now they're dragging us backwards, and we'll do something about it. So tell me, what have you related to about what I'm saying? You know, what has hit home for you? Leave it down in the comments. Let me know if you have any more you want to explore on this. Throw it in the comments. Let me know what you want to explore, and let's do it, because figuring things out it can be lonely. So let's do it together. Let's figure this out. What are we doing now that we're 60 plus, ladies? What are we doing? What do we want to do? What kind of stamp are we leaving on our world right now? What are we no longer willing to not talk about? Oh my gosh, man. Hit 60 and suddenly your tongue has a mind of its own. Does it not? People will say to me, you can't say that or you can't do that. And I say, I'm a gray-haired 60 plus woman. Ain't nobody got time for me and nobody's bothering me. You may want to make me invisible, but I will tell you there are advantages to being this age. There are advantages to making it this far, for sure. So yeah, let me know what's on your mind. And if you think anything I've said does not ring true, let me know that too. I am open to civil conversations, and I am okay with civil discourse. So hit me up. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you want to talk about. What is bothering you as a 60 plus year old person? What are you trying to figure out right now? What is it you can't get over? What is it you're trying to get past? Let me know. However, for now, I'm going to leave you to it. I'm going to get on with my day. I'm going to go do some art. I might film some of that because we need to start getting some of that on here. So I might film my process today. And I'll catch you next time. Between now and then, take it easy. Take care. Don't let the nonsense get you too far down, but don't keep your head in the sand either. These are weird, wild times. Show up. I'll keep showing up for you. Until next time, this has been Heart of an Artist. No, really, it has.